If you have type 2 diabetes and you're tired of being told it's chronic and something you'll just have to manage forever, if your A1C is controlled but your medication list keeps growing or stays the same, and you know deep down you're capable of more than this, you're in the right place. This is the Diabetes Remission Roadmap podcast. We're Brian Bisher and Cory Jenks, two pharmacists who spent over 2 decades inside healthcare. And we started this show because we got tired of watching capable people stuck getting managed instead of rebuilt. Here's what most people aren't told. Type 2 diabetes isn't just a blood sugar problem, it's a muscle and energy storage problem. When your body loses strength and metabolic flexibility, blood sugar rises, and you can rebuild that. On this show, we break the scripts that say more meds are inevitable, you're destined to just manage, remission isn't possible, and instead we teach you how to build muscle, eat in a way that keeps you full, and regain control of your health again. No extremes, no shame, just practical strategies to help you move toward remission and lead your health again. Let's get to work.
It's the end of May 2026, and that means it's time for another Rapid Fire Friday. And when I say rapid, I mean rapid. I think we're going to make this quick. Brian, are you ready?
I'm ready, Cory.
All right. Unlike my baseball team, the Cubs are terrible right now. So
yeah, 9 in a row at this point, right?
Yeah.
That's
They've lost 9 in a row. And that's why I enjoy the winning streaks, because the losing streaks will come and it'll feel like you can never lose, and it'll feel like you can never win. A lot of times with your blood sugar, you feel like you get stuck in a rut. So if you ever need help getting out of your rut, keep listening. All right, here we go, Brian. My blood sugar is better, but I'm not losing weight. What gives?
Calories.
Calories?
It is calories.
Well, but if the blood sugar is getting better, isn't the energy toxicity reversing?
No, you could just be power packing or power pairing or whatever people call it these days.
Okay. You answer your way because I have a different way. I have a different thought.
Cory, so I sent you something today that showed this nice diagram of how the insulin model, and maybe if people are listening that wrote a book about this, hopefully, basically the insulin model is not the most complete, accurate model. So still, yes, insulin will trigger fat storage, but only in a caloric surplus state. So if your blood sugar is getting better, it might mean you're eating foods that are lower in carbohydrates, spiking you less. It might mean you're moving more. It might mean your insulin sensitivity is improving a little bit, but it does not necessarily mean you are in a calorie deficit, an energy deficit, which is ultimately what is required to lose fat. And then also body weight. So okay, you might be thinking about this, right?
I was going to have a much more generous application of this question, all right, Brian, but you came out frothing at the mouth.
There could be two ways. So it could also be you're working out, you're changing your muscle composition, you are then improving the insulin sensitivity in your muscle, so therefore you're storing more glycogen in your muscle. Glycogen holds onto more water. It then makes you feel like you're holding onto weight more, but it's actually just water weight inside your muscles, but your body composition is changing and you're actually thinner. So take measurements alongside the weight, the scale, to get context into, if you can't get into a DEXA scan, which that's also another really cool tool to use, is to use a DEXA scan to track your progress. You can track your body composition progress as you're going, because the scale by itself is just garbage.
Ooh,
there you go.
Yeah, this is Rapid Angry Fire Friday from Brian. No. Look, what I was kind of thinking more towards is, as your body composition changes, like you say, you can lose body fat, gain muscle, and not see a net change on the scale. But that does not mean you're not improving. And so, as you said, the scale can lie, and especially for the first couple of months. And this is where I've seen a lot of people when I was in my diabetes clinic in practice and coaching clients, is that first month to 2 is really crucial for continuing. And when you don't see the scale budging like you want, it makes you want to quit. But if you are seeing like inches going down on your waist, it means that your body, the first fat that it wants to get rid of is the most dangerous fat. And that's the fat around your liver and midsection. So you're going to get rid of that. And as you utilize the steady strengthening approach that we preach, you're going to gain muscle, which weighs something. And as you said, Brian, very well, that when you are holding on to glucose in the form of glycogen in your muscles, which is because muscle is the primary place that we store glucose, so it's a good thing, you won't see the scale budge like you probably want to, but it means that overall your metabolic health is improving and your overall health is improving. So long story short, stick with it and look at those other measurements other than strictly at the scale.
Yes, thank you.
Are you satisfied?
Yeah, I'm satisfied.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Number 2, what is actually a good source of protein?
A complete protein. So any protein that you enjoy eating and can do consistently. So non-processed protein is better, is preferred more than processed proteins. Basically, protein shakes, although there's a place for those when you're trying to increase your total protein intake, but whole food protein is the best source of protein. Need I say more, Corey?
Well, you might want to get a little more specific because I picked up, I'm going to use this every time forever, is I picked up my jar of peanut butter and it says 8 grams of protein. Well,
Yeah,
that's a
don't do
food
that.
that has protein. And so I think that when we're looking at a good source of protein, Brian, I agree, a good whole food source. And we could list them all here: chicken, turkey, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, a low fat cheese. All are really great sources of protein. And the reason that they're great sources of protein in the context of wanting lower blood sugar is that they don't have a lot of extra energy riding along with them. So when you see something, and especially as we record this in May of 2026, protein is the hottest thing to put on a package. I saw protein Doritos the other day.
Ooh,
And so,
nice.
oh yeah. And so we have talked about the 10x rule of thumb for food and protein, and that is you take the grams of protein and multiply it by 10. If that number is greater than the total number of calories, you're doing good on your protein source. But if it's less, then it's a less helpful source of protein. So I always
Hmm.
use peanut butter because it's easy to remember. 8 grams protein times 10 is 80. Total calories around 200 in a serving. So you are getting way more energy than you are getting protein. But a chicken
Yeah,
breast, we'll say, is about 20 grams of protein. So times 10 is 200, about 100 calories. So that is what I would use to determine a good source of protein is that if you're getting protein and you're not getting a lot of extra caloric energy in the form of carbs and fats along with it, then it's much better. And
yeah.
unfortunately, we've talked about this in previous episodes talking about health halos. Like I will see like certain ice creams that are lower, like geared towards healthier people that will say like 6 grams of protein. And someone will say, protein, I've heard that's good. I'll get it. But it's still like 300 calories a serving. So it's really not,
Or
your
protein ice cream.
protein is riding along in this calorically dense train and you're not getting, it's not going to help you get closer to your goals. If your
Yeah,
goal is to eat something yummy, great. But that's what I would say would be a good source of protein. And as you said, Brian, like I think the bars and the shakes are great supplements when needed, as opposed to eating a candy bar or a smoothie with no protein. Quick pause for a second. If you're finding the podcast helpful and you want more practical ideas to help move your blood sugar in the right direction, come follow us on Instagram at Diabetes Remission Partners. We share quick tips, food and exercise insights, and blood sugar mistakes people don't even realize they're making. It's also where we can answer your questions directly in the DMs. So if you want more help between episodes, Instagram at Diabetes Remission Partners is the best place to find us. And when you follow us, make sure to say hi. All right, back to the show.
exactly. And I'll say this, when you differentiate between a complete source of protein versus an incomplete source of protein, which I don't think we really talked about, but animal sources of protein are complete, meaning they have all the essential amino acids, versus a lot of plant proteins are incomplete. They don't have
Mm.
all the essential amino acids. So just a little fine point there to make is that so when you're trying to stimulate, and these numbers may be off, these are just based on recall. When you're trying to stimulate protein muscle synthesis, so you have to turn on your muscle, like, so you're doing the workouts and you're trying to stimulate muscle growth, your body needs to see a certain threshold of protein to really start that process, and it comes from like the leucine. And typically, well, not typically, it is going to require more plant protein than it is animal-based protein.
And when you have to eat more grams of plant protein, you have to eat more energy, Brian, which goes
That's
back
also
to,
work, yes.
yep. So, all right, we're on to our final question. This one's fun, so let's say it. Summer's coming. Can I eat corn on the cob?
Yes, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not going to be there to stop you. So, is it aligned with your goals? Like, what are you eating along with corn on the cob? How often are you eating corn on the cob? I I mean, there's so many questions that I will then have to ask this person who's asking if they can eat corn on the cob. Do they have teeth to eat corn on the cob? Like,
That I picked this question because it highlights a number of things, and that is people want black and white hard and fast rules, and the reality is every individual is an individual, and there's nuance with it. I also bring it up because yes, we people will count corn as a vegetable when in reality it is a grain. But I did a little digging, Brian. This was a loaded question because I was curious of like a bag of corn chips or like Cheetos. It's a corn-based snack product. And a medium ear of corn has about 15 to 20 grams of carbs. And a small 1 ounce bag of Cheetos also has about 15 grams of carbs, as I look it up right now. Um, and so they both have the same amount of carbs, Brian. So obviously the Cheetos are corn on the cob is as bad as Cheetos. But
I would,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
I
No.
was say, I think this is going somewhere, and I know where it's going.
Yeah.
Fiber.
Yeah, right. So when we have a snack food like Cheetos, that corn is ground up, you lose all the fiber, you lose all the water, you lose the chewing because let's be honest, Cheetos cheese puffs basically melt in your mouth. So with corn on the cob, yeah, there's carbs in it, but there's fiber, water, chewing resistance. You get more satiety. And if you're not looking at me personally, you get a slower eating speed because I go at that thing like a typewriter for anyone who's ever seen a typewriter. But a bag of Cheetos, like you could literally throw the whole thing in your mouth, chew it up, and not be full. Whereas like the average mortal could eat like a couple of ears of corn and be like, that's enough.
Mhm. And I'll say this, the health coach in me just has to say it, Corey, is that you're likely eating corn on the cob with family, friends as part of a grill out. Very well could be eating it by yourself, grilling it, I don't know. But you're likely eating it in company, whereas the latter, like the Cheetos or corn puffs or whatever you said, it's probably more in solitude.
It's much easier to eat in solitude, yes.
Yes.
So,
So,
yeah. And with you might put a little butter on that corn on the cob, but with a bag of Cheetos, I mean, it's just coming along with a bunch of industrial oils, uh, preservatives, chemicals, things that are hard to produce. And you could
mhm.
fight back with me with the way our corn is produced, whether it's GMO, non whatever. Point being, like a bag of Cheetos is a chemical mess, and an ear of corn, the ingredient is corn. So to me, I think you're we're not here with super high blood sugars because we're eating too many ears of corn. We're eating
Mhm.
here probably because we're eating too many ears of corn in the form of chips and Cheetos and other processed foods. So
Yeah.
um, we can't
Kind of with
give.
it,
Yeah, go ahead.
kind of with this, you can eat whatever you want. It just
Yes,
comes down to choosing to eat what is most in line with your goals. And then just thinking about the consistency, the number of times what you're going to eat this thing. Like you could literally eat corn on the cob every single day in the summer and still be fine and still lose weight and still improve your blood
blood
sugar.
sugar.
You could literally eat corn on the cob every single day and it's not going to impede your results. It just depends on everything else you're doing with it. It depends on the other foods you're eating in that other 23 hours of the day that you're not eating corn on the cob.
You're eating corn on the cob for an hour a day.
Well, okay, whatever. I'm
That
not.
I'm here to mess with Brian because he needed a little cheering up today. So that wraps it for Rapid Fire Friday. The moral of the story is you can eat whatever you want, but there will be consequences one way or the other, and we can't stop you. And we can't give blanket advice. If you have a corn allergy, no, you should probably not eat it. There's a whole disclaimer at the end of the episode. So this was a fun way to kick off the summer. If you enjoyed this, make sure you share it with someone who is eating Cheetos instead of corn on the cob at your summer barbecue. If you know someone struggling with their blood sugar, share it with them. And Brian, you look like you had something else to add.
Say make sure you subscribe because we never say that. People need to
We don't.
subscribe.
Yeah, that way you are alerted every Wednesday. You will get a new episode, except for the last Friday of the month. We hit you with the Rapid Fire Friday, just like today. So Brian, it was good to see
That's
you.
it.
Keep
Yeah.
smiling, and for everyone out there, make sure you keep it simple and do what works.
If this episode gave you clarity or hope, share it with one friend who's been stuck in the diabetes trap. That's how this mission grows. One person, one family, one story at a time. And if you haven't yet, leaving a quick review helps more people find the show and realize they're not stuck with meds forever. It takes less than a minute and it means the world to us. Thanks for being here and thanks for being part of this movement toward freedom. Thanks for listening to the Diabetes Remission Roadmap. The ideas discussed here are for general informational purposes only and do not constitute medical or nutritional advice. We are pharmacists, but we're not your personal healthcare providers. Always consult your own physician or qualified clinician before changing medications, exercise routines, or nutrition plans. Results vary, and what works for one person may not work for another.